you can see it. But look at today, the bottled water. Here I have the bottled water. Okay, if I walk into certain rooms, they'll probably cut my head off for having this bottled water, which I need to drink while I'm presenting, so my throat gets too dry. But we have a client, okay, now that has a plastic bottle of recycled material that has a built-in water filter. So you can use tap water. People are concerned about tap water. The filter is built in there, and it's like a sports bottle, portable, and so you don't need one of these. Now, 2 years ago, Burson-Marsteller had bottled water clients. And, at the time, going years back, bottled water's great. Convenience of it. I know the product's clean, and there's always concern about municipal water, even though, Yonkers has passed numerous taste tests across the country. It's won numerous awards for the best water in the world. We have one of the best water systems in the entire world right here in this area. And yet, for many, many years, bottled water was perceived by the public as being a far cleaner product, beneficial product. And so the public's trying to figure out, well, what's the right messaging here? Is this wrong now, today, to use this? What about next week? Is it right next week? Is it wrong next week? And so that split shows you that the public has not really figured out what's right and what's wrong. Now, to some degree, that allows for some good messaging. So if somebody really wants to spend some dollars, they can create kind of a sea change in a specific area. And we've seen that in the light bulb area, where a company like Walmart says, hey, come in and we'll hand out free bulbs, or we'll give you really cheap bulbs that you can exchange for your existing ones, and these are much better, and it'll reduce your electricity bill. So that's kind of an easy thing to do, screw in a light bulb. But when you dig deeper into other activities, that's where the public starts to get confused, so it's something to be mindful of. What's important to note on here is the huge leap in 1 year of what became the most important issue to folks when we talk about green issues. Energy and resources related to energy. That is a direct reflection of the price of gasoline, the price of oil. I mean, well, what's going on here, $4 a gallon, boom, knocks that number all the way up. And what you tend to see on charts such as this is that they're affected by what's going on right now, what is happening right now. And the interesting thing is, which when I told you that I just received some updated information, in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, now this is in the span of from, the latest information was about 4 months after this. Number one in this area became carbon emissions, air, water pollution. So what's number two there, and a close number two, is now number one. Why do you think that is?
Well, because going down.
Exactly right. Price of gasoline goes down, problem goes away. That's how quickly the public is impacted by factors that in some respects have nothing to do with green issues. I mean, you could argue, of course, that oil is a green issue, and it is to some degree. But for the majority of folks, it's a financial issue. It's an impactful issue in terms of economics. And so those top two, I believe, just pop back and forth depending on where the price of energy goes. But it's important to note that we spend a lot of time, and have spent a lot of time, depending on your age, or you may remember in school, certain issues kind of popping up as this is the definition of green. Recycling for a long time was the definition of green. Recycling newspapers, paper product, was the definition of recycling green. And now it has morphed more into kind of back to those bigger issues, which is energy, carbon emissions, kind of the impact that we make as a society overall on the planet. In terms of desirable energy, what people feel are the most desirable sources of energy, the top one is solar, by far as top is solar. Wind are the top two. For those that are in the energy business or had anything to do with energy, you know that the public has a very, 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 very tiny educational background in where energy comes from and how it's used. And we as Americans have, and I don't want to use the word infantile because it's not the right word, but it's an elementary way of looking at the bigger energy picture. And so realistically, Solar and wind certainly can be extremely impactful in the United States, but can solar replace everything? No. Can wind replace anything? No. It has to be a mix of those technologies. And the more people learn at this point, the more those numbers will probably shift as people kind of get realistic, pick what can be done and what can't be done. And what I would predict is that those will probably come down a little bit. They'll stay popular. Hydro is popular because people feel, well, it's just water. What's the harm in that? It's just water. And then, again, we don't have a great concept of exactly how big electric plant is. Or again, environmentalists may say they're not really sure of the damage. The public really doesn't understand potentially damage that can be done from a hydroelectric plant. The fascinating one is nuclear. Nuclear used to be at the bottom of the list. I mean, it used to be kind of like brimstone and then nuclear below that. Deal with the devil and then nuclear, right? And I'm a former nuclear person. I come from the nuclear industry and have never seen numbers like that. Again, that is about the impact of a dialogue, a discussion, and education. And that's what this slide really talks to me about, is opportunities for education. If you're in the solar and wind industry, there's either room to move up or there's room to move down, depending on how your messaging is put together. The nuclear industry is a great opportunity. Nuclear industry is an opportunity to move up that list as people become more and more comfortable with the idea of a mixture of technologies rather than exclusion of it. If I'm in the natural gas, oil, and coal industries, I'm going to have great concerns about that, because in this dialogue of green technology, I'm losing a lot of space. I'm losing a lot of media space, and I'm going to get knocked down on that list, especially when the government's giving out money. Here's another very, very important slide. No matter what the business is, if you are going to look at messaging, green messaging, you need to be aware of what terminology does the public understand and what impacts their purchase intent. So the types of words that they're familiar with, high familiarity with, recyclable, organic, natural, hybrid, certainly cars have an impact on that, eco-friendly, renewable. If you look all the way down the list, the interesting one is carbon neutral. Now, as somebody who works in an industry that deals with words, and I can't tell you the number of pieces I've seen, product pieces and literature that uses the terminology carbon neutral. The public doesn't understand what carbon neutral means. They really don't. So if you're thinking that that's a great word to use, it's not. Until maybe there's a lot of dollars put into it, or it's part of the media discussion that carbon neutral becomes more of a phrasing that people use. But the reality is, if people think about green, they think, is there a certain amount of recyclable material in it? Organic? Is it natural? It's all about Mother Earth. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. There seems to be a big differential between the organic familiarity and the impact on purchase intent, which is interesting because I've been hearing a lot on television. There was a piece on 60 Minutes a couple of weeks ago that everybody should be buying organic. Right. But in fact, organic is more expensive. Is that how? Is that what that's about?
That's what we'll look at in a future slide. Is that? No, it's okay. It's always good to be future forward thinking. That is economic impact right there, because organic is clearly seen as being more expensive, and Whole Foods. I mean, I love Whole Foods, but sometimes I put up a second mortgage to shop at Whole Foods. If you want to be organic, it's more expensive. As a matter of fact, there's a piece on TV the other night, maybe it was CNN, on a couple that is having difficulty. Both spouses lost their jobs, but they love natural food. They love organic foods, and they can't afford it. And she said, if you want to live a healthy lifestyle, it's far more expensive. Now, there's truth in that, and then there's perception to that. So that's fascinating. And people see those pieces, and they go, if they're thinking about living an organic lifestyle, they say, look what happened to these two. These two are living an organic lifestyle, and they both lost their jobs, and they're going to lose their house. And that, we laugh, but that's exactly how the mind works. The mind very quickly makes those connections. It can have devastating impact. If I'm Whole Foods, I have to start working on that from a messaging perspective. I have to start adding value back into that proposition, or else I'm going to start to lose customers. And as Marcia was saying, in terms of the organic issue, if you look at intent to purchase versus spend, So yeah, I intend to purchase green products, but when it comes to dollars, I'm actually not going to spend as much as I would intend to.